So how's it going? Today is September 18th. It's a Friday, 2020. The way that I just stated that made no sense, but you get it. September 18th, 2020. Look, I'm just so excited. I have something on my wall here. It's like my studio is moving up. If you want to call it a studio. In any case, we have a few things that we want to cover today. Trump states that by the end of this year, we'll have over 100 million doses of, coronavirus vaccine. He also states that by April, we'll have enough for the entire country. And I have questions. A black GOP candidate went on The View and decided to try and take Joy Behar to task on previous use of blackface. Trump is a hypocrite as it pertains to using a teleprompter during his attacks of Joe Biden. Maybe I should use a teleprompter. In any case, the last thing that we'll cover is we'll go to Indian country today and discuss the respect for your elders during these times of fake news. Remember that you help me out by subscribing down below. It allows me to have the confidence to put out new videos. If there are things that you'd like to see, if there are things that you'd like to talk about, comment down below. You see that I'm responsive. In any case, let's go.
As part of Operation Warp Speed, my administration's manufacturing all of the most promising vaccines in advance. And actually, it'll be fairly long in advance. As soon as a vaccine is approved, the administration will deliver it to the American people immediately.
In advance of what? What are we in advance of? What is your administration making a virus in advance of? I have questions on that.
Distribution will begin within 24 hours after notice, and the general, I think those are the words specifically you wanted us to use.
Yes,
within 24 hours, you're all set to go, and massive amounts will be delivered through our great military, and the general is one of our best, and he is ready to go. We'll have manufactured at least 100 million vaccine doses before the end of the year, and likely much more than that. Hundreds of millions of doses will be available every month, and we expect to have enough vaccines for every American by April. And again, I'll say that even at that later stage, the delivery will go as fast as it comes. They can deliver. They're very good. Best, I think, probably the best in the world.
So, obviously my concern is how much testing was done during this time. And if the answer is that a lot of testing was done, another thing that I have to question is how far in advance did we know that this virus was around? We keep going back to this with the whole Woodward thing, okay? But as we see things progress, and we're talking about how this Operation Warp Speed is putting out a viable vaccine, and then we look at the fact that it takes months and months in order to test a vaccine, because they don't just, it's not just you inject it and then you sit there and you watch. Is he gonna turn green? Look at all the pus pustules coming out. It's not like that at all. There are short-term, medium-term, and long-term sometimes reactions to these vaccines. And that's one of the reasons why it takes so long for medications to get through the vetting process. And that's one of the things that we need to be happy about insofar as our medications are concerned. I don't want to take anything that's going to cause me to have a worse condition than the one that I'm taking it for, okay? And what could be worse than COVID? Well, straight up death, I guess. I mean, that's pretty much what I would think. I don't know.
And that it was terrible. And then he went out and told the American people, don't wear masks, it's all going to go away. You have to put some blame on your president. I'm sorry. You're putting it on something extraneous here. Talk to the point, please.
Is this Joy speaking?
The guy
The
lied.
same Joy
The same
Yes.
Joy that
Yes.
paraded around in blackface not too long ago? Come on, Joy, I don't think you should be
That's
asking
not
these
true.
questions. I am
Excuse
an
me,
African American.
excuse me. The black community had my back. They know that
The
that
black
was not
community has my
blackface. That
back.
was an homage. Oh,
The
please,
black
just
community
answer the
has my
question.
back.
Black
as well.
community has your back? The black
Yes.
community has
Yes,
your back?
they do. Sonny,
The
Yes.
black community did
Sonny,
not
tell
vote
them.
for you.
Well,
The black
you know what?
community did not vote for you. What
It was
planet
during
are
a
you
special
living
election.
on?
Sonny, can I speak?
What
It was
planet
during-
are you living on?
It was during a special
Wow.
election while we were still under lockdown and I could not talk to people. Can I speak or are you just going to scream over
this
me?
becomes a big...
So this is just a big, overwhelming argument. But the point of watching this is this. So they're taking her to task about how she feels on Donald Trump's hiding, basically, of the coronavirus earlier this year. You know, the whole Woodward thing. Instead of addressing the actual topic at hand, she decided to start deflecting in an attack on Joy Behar. So she couldn't talk about the actual issue. She wanted to divert that attention to something that had absolutely nothing to do with it. Okay, so then they started talking about how the black community did not vote for her, etc. I'm not qualified to know about that. I am not a member of the black community. I do have people in my family that are, but they don't live in Baltimore, which is where she happens to be running. So in any case, this is just another time when instead of answering an issue, somebody tries to deflect. This doesn't just happen on the right, it also happens on the left. But it makes it hard for us as a country to have a conversation because everything is incendiary. We can't just sit there and go, well, you know, this is what they asked me. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer this. Instead, it has to be, whoops, let's take a left turn at deflection. So our next thing that we're going to talk about comes from The Daily Show, which is really funny. It's called Fox News is Right, Any Idiot Can Read Off of a Teleprompter. It goes towards the whole thing that Donald Trump likes to spout at his campaigns, that Biden is slow thinking and the only way he can talk about anything is by reading off a teleprompter, which is of course it is projection. Okay, maybe I should get that teleprompter. Anyway, let's get started.
We have a presidential nominee for one of the major parties in this country, and the bar that is set is he can deliver a speech from a teleprompter without really flubbing the lines. That's it. That's the bar for Joe Biden.
This treaty threatened your subjugate, and you know exactly what's going on here.
It's hard to screw up a prepared speech like this where you're reading in the teleprompter.
While the social and socialist Democrats,
He managed to read a speech on a teleprompter.
and to avoid liability, shifting production to Thailand.
The speech last night, reading a speech
I
on
wanna
a
go to
teleprompter
Thailand.
is one thing.
Americans will never fire or tire in our effort.
The bar had been set so low that if he could put a couple of paragraphs together, it would have been a triumph. He read the telepromptered speech with confidence.
They stared down the invasion and the hell that they had to endure. The fact is, they held like nobody could have held before.
And ultimately, reading off of a teleprompter is not all that difficult of an exercise.
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
In any case, I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. I don't really have anything that I want to comment on that. It's just funny, okay? Hopefully I don't get a copyright claim for playing that. I guess we'll see, right? So lastly, we go to IndianCountryToday.com. There's an article that's written by Diane Lexis Benson. She's Tlingit. This is Respect Your Elders. They are vulnerable to political manipulations. She makes very good points. I'm going to leave a link down below for you to read the article. She makes very good points, and I wanted to touch on some of them. So, we've had conversations with people that we know that have not gone the way that we wanted them to when politics was brought up. You find out that somebody does not support the candidate that you enjoy, so you start to slowly exert your influence upon them. And then depending on the levels of your patience as well as their inability to see your point in your opinion, tempers start flaring, and the situation just becomes a negative situation. Okay, by now, if you have any kind of inkling on any political conversations, this speaks to you. I'm telling you, I don't know anybody who hasn't had somebody from the other side of the partisan divide cut off contact with them in some way. I've had that happen to me quite a bit. I do not cut off the contact until it turns negative. So her point is, sometimes our elders are easily affected by the fact that they're not really always paying attention to what's going on politically. Because generally, indigenous people are not ones that want to step into the quagmire of, for lack of a better way of putting it, colonial politics. But this particular election is very incendiary. There's a lot going on, okay? There are claims from either side that this side wants to become jackbooted fascists, and this side wants to give everything away to illegals because they're socialists, okay? And so you run into the issue where people don't know what to think. Not everybody knows how to research. Not everybody knows how to vet information, how to look into the authors of articles and things like that. So they rely on the people that maybe sound like they know what they're talking about to get that kind of information. They'll say, "What does this mean? Does this meme have an act? Oh, you know what, Jimmy shared this meme, and Jimmy pays a lot of attention to politics, so it's got to be right. I'm going to share it too, okay?" And that provides a type of leverage on their ability to make determinations themselves. We should be pushing to have a type of education that they are actively involved in, and not just one where we're sitting there telling them who to vote for and why. Okay, people need to be able to make their own decisions and not have somebody looking over their shoulders saying, no. Okay, I get into heated discussions as well in matters that are political. But I also provide the receipts. I like to say the receipts, and if you're not familiar with that term, what I mean is I provide links, articles, I provide primary source documents whenever possible. So if I'm going to talk about something that's in the bipartisan Senate report on Russian interference, I'm going to provide a link for that so that you can see it yourself. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I went to video as a medium, because it's easy for us to see what this politician says instead of just relying on somebody that wrote it and then, you know, or a meme from like Turning Point USA or something like that. Okay, memes are not news. Sometimes memes can contain proper information, but what we need to do is take that information, vet that information, and then that information transforms into knowledge. Until we can vet that information, and by vetting I mean, like I stated before, checking sources, making sure that it stands up to scrutiny. Until we can vet that information, it cannot turn into knowledge. And knowledge is the important part there. That's when we know what an issue is. Up until then, it could be good information, it could be bad information, it could be irrelevant information. You understand? Right, that's all I have to say about that. Jadeg. So we've come to the end of our articles and our videos. I hope that you've enjoyed what we've discussed. If you did, please remember to subscribe. It would help me out a lot. It would also help me if you would share and discuss down below. If there are things that you'd like to talk about, maybe see in future videos, leave me a link. Let me look at it. And if it's something that I feel passionate about, I'll discuss it. Generally, I don't go through news articles that don't particularly interest me, but sometimes I don't see everything, and that's why we are a community. I'll be on a podcast this Sunday. It'll be Oh Just Talk by Vonda and Lydia. Great people. Great people. So please stay tuned. Check out their podcast if you get a chance. I'll leave a link to that down below as well. And see you tomorrow.